Hello everybody, welcome to yet another breakdown video. We're going to be looking at Kiribayama's Yusho over Daisho in the playoff, but of course we have to look at all 15 days and said playoff. And we're going to be doing this by using my own 15 days video, which I gotta say, it was really funny. The day of Kiribayama's Yusho. The previous Kiribayama video from the January Basho got like 200 new views. I guess people thought it was going to be the Kiribayama Yusho video. And then in the past week or so, week and a half, from when I'm recording this Kiribayama video has gotten over 2,000 views. So thank you very much for all the support. And well, obviously there's a lot of enthusiasm for Kiribayama potentially being the next Ozeki. All he needs is 10 wins. And, well, let's just dive right into it. You know how this thing works. We're going to take each match, break it down one by one, and thanks to YouTube, we can actually go frame by frame and even change the playback speed if we need to. So, you know how it's going to go. Let's do blue is going to be Kiribayama, and yellow is going to be all of his opponents. So let's get to work here. His first match is against Abi, pusher thruster, and Kiribayama is not exactly weak against Oshizumo, but as you saw, he defeated two of the bigger Oshizumo guys in this tournament, in Daisho twice. So here we go, going full speed first. Kiribayama scoops up those forearms so he can get inside Abi, and from there he just follows up with more pushes straight to the chest over and over again. So most of what is going to get Kiribayama the win here is going to be at the Tachi-ai, and it's going to be very quick. You can watch it. Tachi-ai scoops the forearms up, and then he has his hands to the chest. The head-to-head for Kiribayama. Right here, you can see he brings these forearms inside, and then he's gonna blast Abi's arms upwards. That way, these arms go flying out in both directions, and that allows Kiribayama to get both hands inside. Just like this, you can see Abi's hand, even though the Abema thing up here is in the way, you can see this left arm goes flying up and away from the action, and the right hand is trying to reach inside, but Kiribayama has the inside left and the right going straight up high to the face, and all Kiribayama needs to do to follow up here is be able to get another good shot to the chest, which he immediately follows up with, because you saw he didn't pull his arm all the way back like an Oshizumo wrestler would. He just tucked it back inside and pushes at the chest instead of going for a big thrust. It's because he doesn't need the big thrust. He's already defeated Abi at the Tachi-ai by making sure Abi's Tachi-ai was completely nullified. And from here, it's just follow up to the chest. And you can see Abi is attacking the throat here. You can see he has the hand wrapped around the throat. But because Kiribayama has already broken that arm length attack that usually these Oshizumo wrestlers want to go for, that grip around the throat doesn't actually have as much force as Abi would like. And because of that, you're going to see Kiribayama simply push Abi all the way to the Tawara and get the win afterwards. Of course, it takes a little bit of effort in the middle of the ring, but he's going to scoop up again. And from here, you can see now he really has those arms inside pushing at the chest, whereas Abi's arms, both of them outside, not doing anything for him offensively. And so he tries to pull back for a slap down. Not gonna work. Abi will take that first loss, and Kiribayama takes the first win. Like I said, most of it is from getting those hands inside at the Tachi-ai and deflecting both of them up and away. But the follow-up is equally as important, because you saw here, Abi does try to pull back and get a slap to the back of the head. He tries to, actually, the hand went all the way up the back and hits the back of the head. So trying to get that pull down from all the way down here on the back, but it doesn't get Kiribayama off balance because he has that strong base with that right foot, and he's following up forward with that left foot too. So strong base from Kiribayama, avoiding the slap down in the middle of the ring, and from there you could see big hand to the face, follow up, and push out. Kiribayama with a very solid day one win.
Coming out hot, Kiribayama.
Next up, Super Shodai of all people coming in, starting off 1-0, and LeoDSumo versus LeoDSumo, the kind of classic matches I like to see. But Shodai is bigger and in some metrics is stronger, but you know, he's been so weak for the past few tournaments. He's been, you know, he lost Ozeki. He's been looking bad. And then all of a sudden, Shodai is going to turn up. And we can watch it here.
Kiribayama and Shodai.
Shodai gets the left hand inside, pulls back, and then Kiribayama is unable to get a grip until he finally does get it under the arm. But now Shodai locks in the grip around the back and tosses Kiribayama out of the ring. So I think the main question here is, where does it go wrong for Kiribayama? And I think it's just a matter of not getting a grip anywhere until it's too late. And you'll see midway through the match, he does get a grip around the arm of Shodai, but Shodai uses that to get a grip on the belt. And in Yotsu versus Yotsu, whoever gets the belt grip first, whoever gets their favored belt grip, is always going to have the advantage. So watch it here again. We can see Kiribayama actually does try to dive forward with his left hand low on the belt, but it just doesn't come to fruition because Shodai pulls back, tries to pull Kiribayama back, down, and away. And we can see Shodai has a very solid base and he's going to be moving backwards with it. Whereas his opponent, Kiribayama, this is a very wide stance. To have a wide stance against an Oshizumo guy might be a little less dangerous, but against a guy who's physically going to grab you and pull you down, that is a lot more dangerous because your base is way too far apart. So this is where Kiribayama, let me slow it down a bit, because this is where Kiribayama is going to stumble forward as Shodai pulls it back, but then Kiribayama does regain footing in the middle of the ring. Shodai does start to thrust back at him, and this angle kind of isn't really good for us to be watching the sumo, but you can kind of see inside hands for Shodai, and Kiribayama is struggling to really stop Shodai from coming back forward. And you can see Shodai moving forward with these feet. He's squared up perfectly against Kiribayama. He has hands inside, and Kiribayama, basically trying to contain him, tries to go wider than him, tries to use this stance to get more surface area on those feet, more friction against the feet on the dirt, and using these outside to try to contain Shodai inside so he can slow down the push and stop it with his body. The only problem is Shodai much bigger, and in this case much stronger, because Shodai is the one moving forward. Now, like I said, halfway through the match, we see Kiribayama gets a grip on the arm, and this is not a bad grip to have. He's trying to go for an arm bar throw by letting Shodai fly forward, but like I mentioned just a second ago, Shodai, really solid base, bent knees, feet, you know, squared up with the rest of his body, and sure, his opponent isn't in front of him, but he's going to use this to keep solid footing and to keep a solid base. Kiribayama gets the arm here to try to go for the throw, but he doesn't have enough momentum to swing Shodai down to the ground, on top of Shodai just having a really strong base here. So that's not going to work, and Shodai is going to use this against him. You can see Shodai pulls this left foot. That right foot went forward, the left foot came back, and he re-squares up against Kiribayama. And this is where, again, we're going to see the overwhelming power of Shodai going straight forward. He's going to recover off the Tawada. Kiribayama does have a pretty good push here. He's going high, though, and this right hand, you know, missing a blow right there, not really good. He has those hands high and outside, whereas Shodai bending those arms down and in at the chest. It's the same exact situation Kiribayama was in yesterday, except it's the opposite. Now Kiribayama is the one whose arms are outside, Shodai getting his arms inside, and from here Shodai locks in the grip around this arm here. He pulls Kiribayama in so he can't keep up the Oshizumo, and you're going to see in a second Shodai is going to lock in the grip on the belt and use all of that, plus the forward momentum that he gets from coming off the Tawara, and he's going to drive Kiribayama all the way across the ring for the win. And there isn't anything Kiribayama can do about it, because Shodai, being a bit taller, is going to pull Kiribayama up. And again, this little Abema is getting in the way up here, the overhang. But you can really kind of see what's going on here. Kiribayama, his legs are almost straight here, whereas Shodai's legs, they're still bent. His legs are still bent. That means if they extend, this hip goes higher, the shoulders go higher, Kiribayama gets pulled upwards, and Kiribayama, now he's being, completely strung out up on his tippy toes just to keep up, and he's not going to have anything to defend himself. Tries to go for the leg kick with that arm around the back of the head, but this and that leg kick doesn't have any force behind it, because Shodai is the one with the momentum. He's the one moving forward, grip on the belt, this right arm in front. I don't even know what it's doing, but the fact of the matter here is Shodai, 2 good defensive recoveries off the edge, because Kiribayama didn't have the strength or the momentum to actually finish off Shodai in those 2 moments. And this is classic Shodai. This is the Shodai that got him to Ozeki in the first place. So this might beg the question early on, does Kiribayama have what it takes to get to Ozeki if all of his opponents are going to be at the top level? And going into May, we have the return of Chiyonofuji, who, if I remember correctly, is something like 8-0 against Kiribayama. We also have the return of Takakesho, who should be recovered from that injury. Hopefully Wakataka Kage is back from his knee injury as well, because that's always a good match against Kiribayama too. But when we see Shodai at full strength, shedding that the pressure from the rank of Ozeki, this is how he performs. Can Kiribayama perform with these guys when there is no pressure, when they are at the top of their game? I mean, later on in this tournament, yes, he does, because he wins the 12-3 Yusho. But, one less win makes it not the Yusho and a little more difficult for him in May. It's 50-50. Is 50-50? Is yes or no? Will he win or won't he? And I was going to say, at this point in the tournament, we're thinking, okay, Shodai is going to start off hot and he's going to wither. Kiribayama, he's at 1-1. That's not bad. He's a solid dude. He's going to be fine. But up here, Tamawashi, former Yusho winner. At this point in the tournament, he didn't look nearly as terrible as he did on the outset of it. But both men 1-1. This should be a pretty good match, you think. And Tamawashi is an Oshizumo wrestler, sure, but it's not the same style of Oshizumo as Abi or Daisho. Tamawashi more sits back on his haunches and uses those forearms to go for powerful thrusts, whereas Abi and Daisho, they get up on their tippy toes going straight for the throat. And, although Tamawashi does win that way sometimes, especially against bigger opponents like Chiyonofuji, his style is mostly sitting back and delivering strong blows. So how can Kiribayama counter this? Full speed. It looks like Tamawashi has the bigger push, but he slips forward because Kiribayama gets the grip under the arm and gets the throw. Oh. So at full speed again, you can see what happens with Tamawashi here is that he kind of lets his upper body get ahead of his feet here, and that allows Kiribayama to slip in for the grip and get the throw. And at the end here, full speed one more time, but we'll slow it down for this one. It's a very quick match, but Kiribayama with good resistance, and you're gonna see what I meant about that upper body getting a little too far forward here, is because Tamawashi is driving these feet forward, but usually when you see, again, if you've watched any of these breakdowns before, I call back to when I was playing football. because, you know, that's the thing that most relates to sumo here. But when you drive forward, you want to drive these knees up high so you can get more force behind your steps. What Tamawashi is doing here is these feet are staying low to the ground and he's shuffling forward. And as he's shuffling, the feet are lagging behind while his upper body is going like he's driving. So he starts off okay, but the more he moves, the more forward he starts to lean. Because of this, he's going to slip forward across Kiribayama's body. Kiribayama is going to get the grip under the arm around the back, and because Tamawashi's feet are still all the way back here, all Kiribayama has to do is turn him to the side and let him fall over.
Going high, pushing forward, getting turned.
And we can come back to the start of this match too. Just watch the feet always lagging behind because he's dragging them across the ground instead of driving them forward. Kiribayama taking advantage of poor footwork from the veteran and, you know, getting a pretty good throw. Just gets the grip double inside. Tamawashi kind of lets him have that grip in the first place because, like I said, that upper body was leaning so far forward that he just let himself get caught. And then he gets turned down to the side. Good win for Kiribayama. 2-1 on the tournament. Next up, we have versus Wakamoto Haru. Wakamoto Haru turned up this tournament as well. And being two, and by smaller, I do mean like on average, not as heavy, not as tall as all of the other guys in the top division. But these are two more lean competitors. These guys have been more compared to Chiyonofuji than they have someone like Akebono, you know? So these two smaller guys going head to head, you know, Kiribayama, Wakataka Kage, Hoshoryu is tall, so he's not exactly one of the smaller guys. But, you know, these more lean guys, watching them do sumo against each other is always more exciting matches. Wakamoto Haru really proving me wrong in the sense that he is definitely a top tier sumo wrestler right now. Going up against Kiribayama though, how does this match go against two smaller Yotsuzumo guys? At the start, it is Kiribayama with some fantastic resistance and once again letting his opponent fall forward by pulling that throat, and Wakamoto Haru simply stumbles. So let's watch this at full speed, maybe one or two more times, just to get a good see of it. You can see big left hand from Kiribayama is what does most of the work here. Just watch that big left hand up high to the throat and then pulls back, lets Wakamoto Haru stumble, and because of that, Wakamoto Haru falls forward out of the ring. Or rather, Kiribayama lets him fall forward out of the ring. So getting back to half speed here, right off the Tachi-ai, once again, you know, head clash at the Tachi-ai, relatively even work here. And you can see even though Wakamoto Haru is the one to get a little bit of forward momentum, it's actually Kiribayama stopping him with a left hand straight to the throat, right at the Tachi-ai. Not to mention the fact that Kiribayama is using this right hand outside to contain the left hand, or yeah, the right hand outside to contain the left hand inside for Wakamoto Haru. So the entire time, Kiribayama propping him up with his left, kind of letting him lean towards Kiribayama's left, Wakamoto Haru's right, by containing this right hand. And that's going to come in big in just a few moments, because while being held up like this, you can see Kiribayama, and he's not gripping the throat anymore. He's simply pushing at the chest and chin. He's got the grip on this right elbow, and he's kind of leaning towards the ground this way. And you're going to see he's going to shift this way, not just to catch himself, but to also let Wakamoto Haru tumble forward, because the way Wakamoto Haru is going, again, similar to Tamawashi, the feet are lagging behind the upper body just a little bit. And when that happens, that makes your upper body stumble forward. So here, being propped up by this big left hand and contained by this right hand, Wakamoto Haru leaning this body forward. That means his pressure is going forward. And when this pressure gets released, when Kiribayama pulls it back, just like that, he wrenches the face, tucks his hips to the side, pulls down, and then just lets Wakamoto Haru stumble. Wakamoto Haru has to take these big steps to try to catch himself, but it's too little too late at this point, and it is at this point that Kiribayama pretty much has the win. All he needed to do was get a couple more hands to the back to follow up and let Wakamoto Haru run himself out of the ring. So let's watch this at half speed one more time. Big left hand containing with the right, and then wrench. Pull down by the face and the shoulder there. Really nice win for Kiribayama. Another quick and solid victory. Now let me take a drink of water as we get into the next match. Going up against Onosho, one of the full-bodied pusher thrusters. And like I mentioned, how Tamawashi has a different style than Abi. These full-bodied guys like Onosho, like Bushozan, like Takakeisho, they throw their entire body into it. They throw head, shoulders, chest forward, and use their arms as clubs in order to get those pushes forward. Whereas Abi, using the hands to attack the throat, Tamawashi using the arms to land pot shots on the chest. This is full-bodied charging forward. Usually you can just get away with a simple Toro, El Henka, just simple sidestep when they go for one of these full-bodied charges. That's why it's so high risk, high reward build here. But Kiribayama, he's not really one to go for Henkas. So how does he handle the full-bodied Onosho? Actually meets him really well at the Tachi-ai, loses the grip around the arm, and poor footing makes him slip and fall. And this is one of those matches where maybe Kiribayama could have recovered, and maybe he has a 1-win better record. But the real reason why he lost at the end is because that left foot slipped too far away. That stance was too wide. Like I already mentioned a few times in this video so far, very wide stance, making him slip back. But you can see at the Tachi-ai, relatively even, low charges for both men. Kiribayama, containing again the inside left, using the outside right up on the shoulder, and using the elbow to push the hand inside. Onosho, again, a little bit more powerful. Kiribayama kind of gives up the ground here because he stands up, leans back a little bit so he can deliver the blow to the throat with that left hand. So that allows Onosho to continue to build that forward pressure that he already got at the Tachi-ai. Give an inch, he's going to take a mile. So on this push forward, Onosho does manage to get grabbed like Tamawashi did earlier in the tournament, but Kiribayama doesn't lock in a grip on the belt, and you're going to see in a little bit that he's going to lose the grip under the arm as well. So just kind of not good all around here for Kiribayama. You see he has the grip under the arm, but he's kind of standing straight up as he's retreating away from Onosho, while Onosho, his body is still legs bent, is coiled like a spring, ready to continue to jump forward straight at the chest of Kiribayama here. So as Kiribayama is trying to throw on the retreat, Onosho, because he didn't have the poor footwork that Tamawashi had earlier in the tournament, he had those knees bent and he has good solid base underneath him. Kiribayama lost the grip under the arm, couldn't finish the throw, and now he has the arm around the back. So he can still attempt a step back, retreat, slap down kind of maneuver, but it didn't work the first time. And you can see Onosho, very solid base right here as he continues to push forward. So as Kiribayama on the retreat, he actually is the one to get grabbed here. He got slapped by the big left arm of Onosho, who got the grip on the belt and tried to pull Kiribayama back with that slap with the right hand. And like I said earlier, Kiribayama, this base is way too wide, and as a result, that left foot slips, and Kiribayama can't catch himself. So full offense from Onosho. Kiribayama, the defense was too wide this time, as we get a really nice shot of his butt right in the middle of the screen. But like I said, that left foot just slips, and you can, if I go back like frame by frame, you can get an even better view of the way that foot slips. And you can get a better view of the noise surrounding me on that green screen. But you can see him try to plant the foot here, and then it keeps going, and it keeps going for at least another foot. And so Kiribayama almost doing a full split in the middle of the ring. Like maybe if his foot doesn't slip like that, he can catch himself, because Onosho's momentum had stopped. But we really can't discuss those what ifs, and truthfully, I never really like trying to discuss those what ifs, because, you know, there's so many different variables to consider. But what happens here is Kiribayama, his defense broke, his stance broke, he slipped, and he fell in the middle of the ring. Throughout the match, just in general, it's not like he's having a terrible match. He's definitely on the back foot the entire time, and we've seen him win defensively, but full control from Onosho here. Onosho, the one pushing forward. He's the one to get the slap around the shoulder, and Onosho, you know, even if he doesn't get the win right there, he still has all the momentum behind him, and Onosho probably does eventually get the win in this match. Kiribayama, that defense was not strong enough, and he needs to work on tightening up that stance so a slip like that can't happen again.
He slips, nearly does a split in the middle.
So after the first 5 days, 3-2 for Kiribayama. Really, in my mind, I'm just hoping for, you know, another solid 10 wins. And, you know, this opponent here, not to call Nishikigi a bad sumo wrestler, but he's definitely not on the skill level as the rest of the guys in the Joy, as you can see by his record of 1-4 at this stage. Kiribayama versus Nishikigi. Kiribayama gets the grip with that left arm around the back, but Nishikigi slowing it down with that grip around the arm. Kiribayama has to use that left leg to get the trip from behind. And that's actually really clever. It's not all just about the trip from behind, but it's about pulling himself in using that left leg so he can get a more favorable chest to chest. Because what you're going to see happen here off the Tachi-ai, and I think we can slow it down right now. What you're going to see happen here off the Tachi-ai is that Kiribayama seemingly does have the better grip. Head to head at the Tachi-ai, you can see Nishikigi has the feet underneath him, so solid base to move forward with. But Kiribayama pulls these legs back to the side so he can get the grip underneath this right arm of Nishikigi and pull Nishikigi off balance. But Nishikigi is going to counter this quite well, because after Nishikigi catches himself, he's not getting thrown. Solid from Nishikigi, like really good. The fact that he hops once and maybe even a second time to keep his stance up here, he's going to be able to recover from this, which is not something you usually see from Nishikigi. And once he gets that second foot down, you could say, okay, Kiribayama still has the advantage. He has the grip around the back inside left, but Nishikigi is going to lock in these hands together as he gets his own inside left, and he's going to try to use that to get an armbar throw around Kiribayama. So you can see it right here. Nishikigi was originally reaching inside for the belt, gives up on it, and now you can see him pull this hand back, and he's going to lock his own hand with itself so he can apply more pressure to this elbow of Kiribayama. And Kiribayama, feeling that pressure is going to increase. Like you could see pretty plainly, arms locked in, hand locked in back there, and this arm from Kiribayama, he can't reach further for the belt. And that's because there's so much pressure being put on this elbow, on this bicep and tricep up here, this upper arm of him, and it's all being brought inwards. So Nishikigi here is trying to not only break the grip, but he could even try to pull back for an armbar throw with all of this force he has on Kiribayama's arm. Kiribayama when this happens, Nishikigi is actually the one to go for a push instead of that throw. So not a bad option because he does have all this pressure and he is the one with the momentum pushing forward, applying all this pressure still to the arm. And you can even see Kiribayama has to loose the grip around the back because of all the pressure to the elbow right there. So what does Kiribayama do to stop this offense? He tries to pull back for the throw, and that doesn't work. Nishikigi, keeping his footing, stutter steps it over like this so he doesn't get thrown. That's going to stop the momentum just enough, but Nishikigi is still on the attack here. So what Kiribayama does is he wraps this leg around the back of Nishikigi. And what that allows him to do is get to the side of Nishikigi. What that allows him to do even further is dig in this left arm deeper around the back. So this grip around that arm can no longer be used as an arm breaker. Because now it's not applying all that pressure to the elbow. It's applying the pressure up higher onto the shoulder and onto the, basically around the armpit area of Kiribayama, which is still an okay spot to throw from if you're Nishikigi, but with the ability to dig in that arm deeper, now he doesn't have to loose the grip around the arm. He pulls himself into the side, and now, like, your original thought watching this live, and mine was too, was that Kiribayama is trying to go for the kill right here by getting this leg trip from behind maneuver. But what he's really trying to do is pull himself closer so the pressure on his arm gets assuaged and he's able to continue fighting in a more comfortable position, because now he's at the side of Nishikigi, and if he really wanted to, he could try to, instead of trying to break this grip up here, lock in a grip on the front of the belt and try to go for a throw from the side like that. So what happens as we continue the match is exactly what I said. Kiribayama tries to go for a grip on the belt, and when Nishikigi feels that, he instinctively wants to pull this hip away so Kiribayama can't get a grip on the belt. It's not a bad idea. Nishikigi having a good idea here. But as he's pulling back, again, Kiribayama is now more to the side than ever, and he's going to use the backwards momentum Nishikigi gave himself to lock this leg around the back again. And because Nishikigi can't pull this foot back as he's retreating, he's going to fall backwards and onto his back. So really good match here. Very technically well done from both rikishi. Nishikigi, you can see just from watching this match alone, he is not stupid. He is not weak. He was just taken advantage of in his own strategy here. And that's really what creates the difference between someone like Nishikigi and someone like Kiribayama. Again, not saying Nishikigi is bad, because this was a fantastic match, but Kiribayama recognizing what is going wrong for him and using his abilities to make it a positive instead of a negative, really turning it around at the end. And what was a Nishikigi dominated match quickly gets turned on its head because Kiribayama recognizes that he can get a leg trip and uses Nishikigi's reverse momentum against him. Very good match from both men right there. And I even say right here, like, Kiribayama is slow to get up. I think after that he was holding his elbow too, but I mean, obviously he comes back fine in the rest of the Basho. So this next match, Kiribayama versus Kotonowaka. Kotonowaka, I think he is an underrated favorite for a lot of people. And part of it is because he does have Yokozuna blood in his veins, the grandson of Kotozakura, son of Sekiwake Kotonowaka. He's definitely, I wouldn't say I'm surprised by his rise and by his stay, but I think he's ahead of schedule. He's definitely ahead of schedule by being so high on the Banzuke at such a young age. And sure, he's a little bit older than Hoshoryu, but Hoshoryu, I guess more people had higher expectations for him sooner. But you know what I'm trying to say here. Kotonowaka definitely exceeding expectations just by a little bit. His opponent here, Kiribayama, both men 4-2. Let's see what happens here. Kotonowaka gets the double inside, pushing forward, and gets the, I think it's the Kotonowaka win here, right? I didn't see which way the Gunbai was pointed.
But it should be Kotonowaka here. Gonna be a mono E.
Alright, well, let's see. Oh, yeah.
That left foot. Nah, it's pretty clear from our.
Alright, yeah, so Kiribayama does take the loss. Let's just doubly make sure, yeah, it is Kotonowaka's win here. But even then, even without knowing, you know, who the winner of this match was, it's pretty clear that this was not a good match for Kiribayama. So let's just walk it back, watch it at full speed again. Gives up the double inside immediately to Kotonowaka, and from there, on the retreat, tries the pull down, which almost does work. And for the same reason why, you know, that throw worked against Tamawashi, the feet being too far away from the body. And that's a very risky maneuver when you are grabbed like that. Trying to pull away so you can get that throw is always going to be risky because you're running backwards, and you never really want to be going backwards in sumo. But the point of the matter is, Kiribayama has a bad Tachi-ai here. Kotonowaka, he stands up immediately, gets the big right foot forward, throws throws both of these hands low and inside so you can attack the chest afterwards. Whereas Kiribayama, he bends the arm out and then puts the hand in, probably trying to, again, run a contain with that elbow and that forearm on that bicep. But that just works against him because then from here, Kotonowaka just locks in the grip under the arm. And he uses the grip under the arm to slide it into a grip on the belt, both hands, and Kiribayama really can't even use his original tactic of using the elbows to block the inside, and just kind of gives up the grip on the belt.
Big catch for
Kotonowaka, again, the height does matter. Kotonowaka used this right hand to pull up Kiribayama so he could reach this left hand down inside on the belt. And that's a tactic we saw earlier with Shodai. Now we see Kotonowaka doing the same thing, standing up his opponent so he can get that better grip and pull that opponent up off balance. Kotonowaka does the same exact thing here, pushes forward with double inside, and again, Kiribayama doing an okay job of trying to survive by dancing along this Tawara, but because he's already so close to the edge, it's not really going to work, although he does get a good pull down attempt at the end here. But, you know, it's just really not meant to be for Kiribayama. He gave up double inside, he ran out of space really quickly, and if he does have one more step, he gets the win. But he didn't. And that's the unfortunate thing here for him, is he didn't have that one more step of room. Kiribayama does not get the win. Kotonowaka improves to 5-2, which I was really excited for that. But then Kotonowaka, I wouldn't call it a collapse, but he just doesn't get that double digit, and that makes me sad. Yes, Kiribayama taking another loss here, but good news, that's going to be the last loss we see from Kiribayama for the rest of the tournament. Now give me 1 second, I need to grab a water bottle. Because I'm doing a lot of talking right now. But here we are, getting into, what is this, day 8 now. Kiribayama versus Tobizaru. Again, two smaller guys going head to head at the top. Kiribayama takes the charge, tries to get the grip. Tobizaru gets the spin move to avoid the grip around the back. Now Tobizaru going Oshi versus Oshi. Kiribayama still trying to get the grip underneath, but every single time Tobizaru pulls back, and this time pulls all the way back to the Tawara. Kiribayama finally grabs him underneath the arm, and Tobizaru, that left arm being pulled up high, dangling useless, as Kiribayama has the outside left, inside right, trying to run contain to make sure that Tobizaru cannot continue shifting and moving around. Now that Kiribayama has it locked in, it's just a matter of time until he gets the push, which Tobizaru is the one to go on the attack here first, trying to get the grip on the belt with that outside left, trying to switch the grip for Tobizaru now, but it is too late, getting thrown at the edge. And this match can kind of be divided into two distinct parts. Before Tobizaru gets caught and after Tobizaru gets caught. So from the Tachi Eye to the point where Tobizaru finally does get caught by Kiribayama, it's a wild Oshizumo back and forth. And it's very chaotic. There's not really much rhyme or reason to a lot of what's going on here, but we can still, get an idea of what these guys are thinking and what their instincts tell them to do when the going gets tough. So we'll run it at half speed, but at the Tachi Eye, we can see Kiribayama doesn't go for a grip on the belt or anything like that. He goes up high to fight Oshizumo to the face, and Tobizaru is happy to oblige. Right here, though, this is almost where Tobizaru loses right off the bat. Kiribayama goes high up to the face at the Tachi Eye, then he pulls down at the head of Tobizaru, which that's something we saw earlier in the tournament already. But what Tobizaru is going to do to counter that Wakamoto Haru didn't do is when Kiribayama gets the grip on the back here, Tobizaru is going to do the very risky move of, instead of trying to square up again by pulling the foot this way and trying to get chest to chest, he's going to instead swivel his entire body around the other way. That way, instead of relinquishing this right hand outside to Kiribayama, this right hand outside is going to go around and he's going to lose the grip on the belt because Tobizaru is going to pull that part of the belt so far away that he has to lose the grip. That's why they go for the spin moves like that. So now Kiribayama doesn't have a right hand grip on the belt, and that's what the point of that spin move was. But now from Tobizaru, he has very poor footing here, and right here, Kiribayama almost catches him again and tries to go for the slap down in the middle of the ring. But it's actually kind of funny. As Kiribayama is going for the slap down, it looks like he slaps the back of his own hand here. It looks like Kiribayama has this hand on the back of Tobizaru's head, and then he just slaps the back of his own hand, which, it's the same as slapping your opponent. All of that force is still being applied, but I just think that's kind of funny. How he's slapping his own hand to try to push down Tobizaru. Tobizaru, though, will manage to recover from this because Kiribayama, as he was pulling up and away, that means he didn't have enough momentum to actually get a strong, proper push down. So that allows Tobizaru to recover with this very odd stance and allows him to dive at the chest of Kiribayama again. But it's not like those full-bodied Oshizumo guys we talk about, because he kind of just glances off the chest of Kiribayama. He's not fully plowing through his opponent here. Like, he's not going boom. He just kind of went, Let me just headbutt your chest real quick. Pardon me. From here, though, Kiribayama continues to try to contain him, and every time Kiribayama does get a grip like this around the head, around the back, and tries for a pull down, Tobizaru just has the counter to it by pulling his feet underneath him. And again, a lot of the reason why this fight is very chaotic is because there's a lot of blows being delivered that aren't like haymakers. There are a lot of kind of deflecting blows and glancing blows. They're not a lot of actual meaningful strikes to the opponents. Like I mentioned, Tobizaru diving at the chest there, it looked like it was more to just catch himself on Kiribayama's chest to regain positioning. And that's going to continue throughout this match. Like right here, Kiribayama almost got the slap down again, but there wasn't enough force behind it. And Tobizaru caught himself using this strong left leg and pivots it. Like you saw, his foot was pointing this way. Now it's pointing this way. Pivots it, pulls the foot back around, catches himself again. And now Tobizaru back on the pull, delivers another shot to the chest. And again, he just puts the hands out and then rests them on the chest. He's not going for a shot like through Kiribayama's chest. He's just going for put the hand on the chest so he can regain his own position and then try to get some force from there. Tobizaru not getting slammed down there because Kiribayama really isn't going for that. Pulling back as Kiribayama pushes forward. A lot of these strikes, again, they're glancing off the body. They're slipping off the chest. They're slipping up over the shoulder. And this is where Tobizaru nearly gets the good grip. Has the inside right, can wrap it around the belt. Same thing with Kiribayama trying to attack this outside. And from here, finally does get the grip. Kiribayama slows it down. Now there are going to be no more of these glancing blows, these deflection blows, these, you know, just trying to score points in boxing type of hits. You can see Tobizaru even has a grip on the inside left here on the belt. But like I mentioned, at the full speed, this left arm is up high, dangling, doing nothing. It's simply doing nothing. It's not applying any force. It is not helping Tobizaru get a grip, not even around the back of the head. It's just not doing anything. Whereas Kiribayama using this right hand to, or that right arm rather, to nullify Tobizaru's left, and is using his left arm to try to break the grip of Tobizaru's right inside. And you're going to see eventually that this does work, but in this situation, it really just comes down to who has the better chest to chest, because it's like 2 arms against 1, but the 1 arm is on the belt. So it's hard to say who might have the advantage. It depends on, you know, if they try to do something with their hips, if they try to, you know, do some, if Kiribayama does relinquish this outside left so he can go for the inside right of his own, that kind of thing. So from this position, it's still relatively even. This entire fight has been back and forth so far, still relatively even at this stage, as it does slow down. Tobizaru tries to pull down this left arm so he can get some pressure on the shoulder at the very least, but Kiribayama keeping that right shoulder dug into the armpit of Tobizaru. Not really much going to be going on here for a little while. You can see Kiribayama slapping for the outside left. Tobizaru wiggles the hip away so he can't get that grip. Tobizaru, despite the fact that he has the grip on the belt, again, that left arm is impossible to actually do anything with. So the grip right now is one grip on the belt versus 2 grips around the body. And it's very hard to call who has an advantage in such a situation. Tobizaru is the one to go on the move first, and you can see he actually uses this upper left arm to try to push at the head of Kiribayama. And he's pulling with this arm he has the grip on to try to get him off balance in that direction. But Kiribayama, the base is too strong, and the pressure to the head was not powerful enough. You can see now after that move though, Tobizaru is able to pull down the arm and try to lock it around Kiribayama's inside right, the same way Kiribayama is trying to lock in his left arm around Tobizaru's inside right. So now they're more or less exchanging grips. I can't tell from here if Kiribayama's grip is on the belt, but this is where Tobizaru, very risky move every single time. It's very risky. Switching the grip from outside to inside. Incredibly risky, always difficult to do, but he does manage to slip it in only for a minute, because then Kiribayama actually pulls the right arm forward to the front of the belt, gets the grip on the outside left of the belt, and now this is what he was waiting for, double grip on the belt. Tobizaru is going to try to pull back, and he loses ideal footing for a throw. Usually, or rather almost always, you want your leg in front of your opponent's so you can throw him using this, left inside. But Kiribayama manages to move past it. Now he has the inside left, and he's going to use that to throw Tobizaru at the very edge. And you can see right there, using that hip, getting that thigh inside, and Tobizaru getting turned right over it, thrown. And after a long and wild match, Kiribayama finally pulls it together. And truthfully, I don't want to go back through that because that was a long match. But man, this was, spoiler alert, both that match and this match are going to be in the top 10 video that'll be coming out later in the month. Look forward to seeing that here on my channel, because I know you guys love more and more sumo content. That'll be coming out before the Banzuke drops, at the very least. My top 10 videos, or top 10 matches of the Haru Basho, should be coming out the 26th of April. Be sure to look forward to that. Next up, we have Kiribayama versus Ryuden, and like I said, spoiler alert, this match is going to be in the top 10 too, because it's one of my favorite styles of matches. Classic LeoDSumo. Hand on the belt, chest to chest, who's more powerful? But first, Kiribayama needs a second. Oh, ooh, pardon me. Kiribayama at the Tachi-ai, locks in the outside left. Oh, inside left, outside right. My mistake. Ryuden, his hands aren't on the belt. He's trying to pull up Kiribayama in the same way that Shodai and Kotonowaka did by those arms, but because the hands are already on the belt, Kiribayama is not being pulled up. He is resisting it. So now Ryuden decides to lock in his own grips on the belt. And now from here, it's just a matter of who has the stronger grips, who has the stronger lower body to be able to move their opponents. And that is why I like this kind of thing. They're both very evenly matched, but you can see Kiribayama wiggled the hip, wiggles again, so now Ryuden actually loses the grip on the belt, and those hip wiggles help Kiribayama get Ryuden all the way to the edge in a very advantageous position, trying to do the leg trip from behind maneuver again, but Ryuden, with huge defense, really solid base, is able to maintain footing until this final push, chest to chest, Yorikiri. Classic. I love it. My favorite. Just fantastic match overall, and another long one, but obviously much less chaotic than the Tobizaru matchup. And this is the kind of match that we like to see. Right off the Tachi-ai, we're gonna, instead of breaking it down like moment by moment, we can go beat by beat here. There's a difference in my head, at least, so shush. But like beat by beat, just who has the advantage at what moment and what are they doing. Kiribayama, you can see immediately off the Tachi-ai, outside right on the belt. Ryuden, inside left and outside right is going to be around the arms. And in a little bit, you're going to see, like I said, he's going to try to pull up Kiribayama, but Kiribayama already has grips on the belt. So right here off the Tachi-ai, pushing forward is Kiribayama, nearly got the throw here. And again, that's because advantageous inside left, outside right, both on the belt. Ryuden, don't ask me how he survives this. 1 foot on the Tawada, bent leg, this other foot up in the air, shoulders dipped so far that he may as well be perpendicular with the ground. Like, how in the world does Ryuden survive this throw? Manages to regain footing, back to the middle of the ring, and then this is where Ryuden is going to try to pull up Kiribayama so he can dig in even deeper. But like I said, because of those really deep grips on the belt, look at that. Look at that. These grips are locked in for Kiribayama, and they will be until the end of the match. Kiribayama not letting Ryuden stand him up, make him loose the grip. And Ryuden is going to be the one to basically have to say, okay, we'll do this position belt to belt. This is going to be our best bet. And from here, Kiribayama using that inside left to shift Ryuden around. Ryuden locking in that grip just as deep. Now Ryuden on the push forward. Kiribayama, you can see it was pretty subtle, pulls back this foot, pulls this foot forward to kind of line these feet up so that he can resist that push. So watch the feet there when each man tries to go on the attack. Ryuden pulling the feet forward. Both of them, like this situation is pretty interesting right here, because this, you could call both of them are attacking each other at the same time. And that's a really interesting position to be in, where both men are kind of in sync with each other in a way that they're both trying to do the same thing. Like, I know that sounds circular and maybe even stupid, but that's because I am. But they're both attacking each other at the same time. They're both trying to stand each other up so they can both try to throw each other at the same time. And so when that's happening, we get this synchronized shuffling of each other over to the side, which there's not really much else happening here. And now we just have to wait for the next attack, which, like I said earlier, you could see Kiribayama wiggled this hip, and that made Ryuden lose the grip. Ryuden no longer has the outside left on the belt because of that hip wiggle. Watch it now, because Kiribayama, he's also kind of forced to give up the grip as well. You could see his hand dangling back here. But in wiggling this hip and making Ryuden lose the grip, now this gives him the strong outside right. And we've seen it before. You put that leg forward, you go for the outside right throw over your leg. That's usually where you want to be. But that's not what happens here. He wiggles again. He wiggles this hip. Now Ryuden loses this grip on the belt. And now Ryuden is in an awful spot because now he needs to try to break this grip that Kiribayama has by pulling this arm up and using his outside right to once again pull up. That is a 4, not an arrow. But going back to, again, what Shodai and Kotonowaka did, now Ryuden needs to throw these hips forward, get his legs underneath, and try to stand up so he can pull Kiribayama up with him. But because Kiribayama has the grip on the belt, he's going to be able to resist that, keep it locked, and keep himself pulling down, swim down. Finding Nemo reference. Using that, he's going to pull himself in again with this left hand to get the grip on the belt. And from here, it's chest to chest, belt grip versus no belt grip. Full advantage for Kiribayama, but Ryuden still manages to resist. And I think that's just pure leg strength at this point because all of these incremental advantages have built up in favor of Kiribayama, but Ryuden is still resisting at the edge. Still resisting. And now it's Kiribayama is the one doing the stand-up because he's dug that left shoulder inside. Hold on, this this is really funny right here because it looks like one of those optical illusion pictures. But it looks like Ryuden's shoulder just blends into the arm of Kiribayama here. Just because of the way the lighting and their skin looks. It's really funny. But what actually is happening here is Ryuden, or rather Kiribayama, he has this left arm locked in, still outside left. He's the one pulling up, by the way. He's the one pulling Ryuden up now because he also has this left shoulder underneath the armpit. He's the one standing up now. And that's to get Ryuden on this one big tree trunk leg in such a way that it'll be easy to yell timber and knock him over. He isn't able to, so now he instead opts for the pull and a throw attempt. The throw attempt doesn't work again. And now, I mean, again, still like 80% advantage for Kiribayama here. There's nothing that I think Ryuden can do to come back and get the win from this position. But chest to chest, Kiribayama finally finishes it off. Fantastic LeoDSumo both ways.
But it was still not enough.
My favorite part is watching the chat behind me, just everyone going, oh my god, that was so good. Holy crap, what a match. And that's why I like sumo. So this next match starts pretty quickly. Mitakeumi versus a 6-3 Kiribayama. Mitakeumi getting low, trying to get to the side, but giving up the double inside to Kiribayama. And from here, Kiribayama picks him up out of the ring. I don't think I've ever seen Mitakeumi get picked up like that. Pick up on the belt. So from here, it's a relatively even tachi-ai once more. Kiribayama and Mitakeumi. Mitakeumi, he's the one that people were hoping Shodai would be like. You know, Mitakeumi is the one who was Ozeki for 2 Basho and has been collapsing, you know? Oh, excuse me. I don't know how water is making me burp, but here we are. But anyway, this is what Mitakeumi is currently struggling with here. Mitakeumi does try to get to the side after the Tachiai, relatively even. Shifts his feet over to the side. Now Kiribayama has to try to keep up in order to re-square up, but you're going to see pretty quickly Mitakeumi goes on a push and gives up double inside.
Getting low is Kiribayama.
And you can see that's because Kiribayama is using this arm to push up at the elbow of Mitakeumi. And we can't really see it on this side, but you have to assume that's what's happening on the other side, because how the hell else does Kiribayama get that double inside? So from here, Mitakeumi gives up the inside left on the belt, pushes forward chest to chest, and then now it's double inside for Kiribayama. And Mitakeumi is not really known for his Morozashi grip. That's Chiyonofuji. But Kiribayama, chest to chest, belly to belly, double inside against Mitakeumi. From here, even though Mitakeumi has the forward momentum, Kiribayama is able to quickly stop it up because he's the one with the bent knees. He's the one pulling up to stand Mitakeumi up, and he's the one that's going to stop that momentum from Mitakeumi, pick him up over the Tawada, and get the relatively quick and simple win.
I don't think I've ever seen Mitakeumi get picked up like that. But what a terrible idea for him. That is 4 matches in a row, won via Yorikiri for Kiribayama.
Oh, skipped ahead a little too far here. Meisei versus Kiribayama now. Kiribayama, I mean, again, spoiler alert, we already know that he wins out for the rest of the tournament, but it's not like Meisei is any kind of a slouch either, although Meisei is in and out of the... he's on that Sanyaku elevator. He's constantly moving up and down, in and out of the Sanyaku. Kiribayama and Meisei. Kiribayama getting low and step back slap down. It's a quick match, so we can watch it full speed again. Step back slap down. And you can see, watch the right hand from Kiribayama, applying a lot of upward forward pressure, and then he pulls back and gets the slap down, and it's that simple. Boom, right here, inside right, down low, locking in Meisei's inside left, and then he's going to pull up on that to get that pressure up underneath the armpit, then he's going to step to the side and let him fall. Very quick match, not too much else to say about it. But right there, pulls the arm up. You can see he's twisting Meisei kind of off kilter here, and he's going to use that once again. Just quick step to the side. Wow. Nice slap delivered to the back as well. And that's one thing that's a little understated in these sumo wrestlers is the quickness of their hands. This hand was just pushing up at the chest a second ago, and then he goes wah, right to the back. Like in the blink of an eye, he's going from being pushed up to slapped. Really quick on those hands, and it's really hard to stop your entire body from a momentum shift like that, which is why a move like this is always going to work. And you can see why. Meisei's footing very far away from the actual torso and center of mass of his body, so it's really easy for that center of mass to, now that it doesn't have any pressure against it, it's just going to tumble forward. I hear the wife yelling at the dog. Oh no. What, is he about to throw up or something?
Yes. Right on the bed.
Oh no.
Hey.
Poor bear. If you're this far into the video, say poor bear in the comments.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nah, it's okay. This has been a long one. I mean, it's been an hour, and I still have to record a few more. But I'm probably going to take a break after this one. Alrighty. But yeah, anyway, quick and easy. Well, not every match is easy, but I say relatively easy match compared to what we've seen Kiribayama have to deal with.
Inconsolable in the middle of the ring. Kiribayama, Kachikoshi, 2 more.
Then we have Kiribayama Hoshoryu. Should be another good one. Kiribayama with a nice strong charge immediately gets the outside left on the belt, but Hoshoryu doesn't fall. Kiribayama does have the momentum here. Oh, Hoshoryu tried the leg trip though. Cheeky move right there, but Kiribayama keeping the left hand outside locked in on the belt. Hoshoryu trying to counter with his own inside right on the belt, but it's not really working. Trying to go for the throw over the leg, but that only serves to pull Kiribayama in deeper and gives up that inside right on the belt as well. Hoshoryu manages to survive again, but Kiribayama trying to go for the pull back into a push, into the pull, into the throw down.
Tossing him down, Kiribayama 9-3.
Very well fought. And again, another really solid LeoDSumo match, but not as long as and exciting as the Ryuden one. But the main thing to focus on here, again, is where the belt grips are and how the momentum shifts based on how they're gripping the belts. So right here, you can see right off the Tachi-ai, Kiribayama, lower, immediately locks in outside right. Hoshoryu does try to counter with that inside left, but he's already at the edge of the ring because of how strong and powerful the Tachi-ai from Kiribayama was. Now Kiribayama uses the momentum to go for a pull across the ring, to which Hoshoryu, now he needs to, bring these feet over and catch himself lest he be thrown right off the Tachi-ai. And he does manage to get the big hop forward, but at this point, again, Kiribayama still in control, outside grip on the belt. He's almost got another one on the belt with that right hand as well. But Hoshoryu countering, wide stance. He's not allowing himself to get thrown. And like I mentioned during full speed, Hoshoryu, he's going to get cheeky, try to get a leg trip with the ankle behind Kiribayama's ankle. It doesn't work really, but it changes the momentum, and that's what matters. Because now, at this moment, there's zero momentum going either way, and one of them needs to build it so they can, transition that into the win. So Hoshoryu here tries to get the leg trip from behind. Kiribayama kicks it away, and now they've stalemated again. Hoshoryu is the one to wrench those shoulders and try to pull up Kiribayama. You can see he only has a grip on the outermost layer of the belt. You can see there's still a lot of belt still on Kiribayama's body.
Kiribayama snuffs it out.
And Kiribayama is the one that is rocking Hoshoryu here.
In control for Kiribayama as they stalemate.
It looks like Hoshoryu is trying to use his shoulder to apply pressure to the head, and that's why you see them rocking up and down over and over again. So that might be the strategy here that Hoshoryu is trying to employ, but I don't think it really affected Kiribayama.
I think Hoshoryu might try a leg trip again. He's inching that foot closer.
Hoshoryu tries to go for a pull here, using this leg as that, I don't know the word I was going to try to find. I'm brain farting right now, but goes for the pull inside, using that leg to try to trip Kiribayama, but the pull isn't really that strong, and it doesn't break the grip that Kiribayama had on the belt. So now that pull from Hoshoryu fails because it just gives Kiribayama forward momentum. So now he has the head down in the chest, shoulders pointing down, grip on the belt. The inside right, I think we're going to see it, is also on the belt in just a few seconds. But that gives Kiribayama all the momentum. And this is where we start to see the pull and the push of battle. We see it. I mention it all the time. This is something that I've carried pretty much everywhere I've gone. When it comes to, just straight up tactics anywhere, you pull, you push, you pull, you push, you rock your opponent off balance until he falls. Kiribayama goes on the push, loses the momentum, but now he's back on the push, going on the pull, going on the push, pulling back for the throw. And a lot of that happening because of the initial mistake, Hoshoryu trying the throw, pulling Kiribayama even closer for that chest-to-chest, giving up that chest-to-chest, and allowing Kiribayama to gain all that momentum again. You can see Kiribayama looses the grip here, and that is tactical because he's trying to go for the pull. Pull into push into pull. Rocking whole shoryu off balance because then you can see he immediately regains it. Pushing back, and then as he has whole shoryu at the edge, you can see big outside left. He's going to use that to pull back, pull this arm up, get the slap down, and get the toss down. Very solid sumo from Kiribayama as he gets up to that 9th win. And, you know, one more away from continuing that Ozeki push. But like I said, we already know how this story ends. Pardon me again. Next up, we have Kiribayama versus Endo.
Nonetheless, that 10th win ever important in the
Endo, definitely no slouch, a veteran that decides to show up whenever he feels like it.
If he wins here. Oh, big false start.
False start for Kiribayama. And yes, that was in the video because it does slightly matter. And because I needed to fill out the time, of course. Get that 10-minute
earn that 10th win and secure
ad revenue. Getting low.
Attempted the slap down. Oh, gets to the side.
That was an interesting move. So you're going to see big right hand swing upwards from Kiribayama at the armpit of Endo. Gets Endo way off balance, and Kiribayama, as a result, simply walks him out from behind. Tachi is actually in Endo's favor here, as we could see, you know, moment to moment. Kiribayama is the one to pull back, which, whether or not that was the original intention, either way, Endo is the one that has the forward momentum here. He does have to swing these feet around and re-square up against Kiribayama, so you could say that even though Endo has the momentum, Kiribayama has the control. Because Kiribayama, when he pulls back, he swings big right up at this exposed rib cage of Endo, and he's going to use that to knock Endo completely off to the side, and you know, from there, that's where he gets the quick win. And after that blow, there really isn't much else to say. He just gets the grip behind him and runs him out of the ring. Just a very interesting start to the match. Because it looked like Endo might have had control, but then he got a little lazy with that left arm. He kind of just, you know, if you want to freeze frame it, you can kind of see that left hand. I'm not sure what he was going for up here. It looks like he's trying to attack the shoulder, but he just kind of leaves it there for a little bit. Maybe just trying to push, or, you know, in a similar vein to how Tobizaru will just go for a blow just to, you know, kind of gain position. That might have been what Endo was trying to do here, but because of that slow movement on that left arm, he exposes his entire left rib cage and gets blasted.
Attempted the slap down. Oh, gets to the side. Slaps him hard enough to push him off.
And that blasting gets us to Kiribayama 10-3.
Here we're getting the announcement for.
And now we this match, well, there is no match. Nothing to break down except you know, maybe how good the calligraphy on that sign is. Fusensho for Kiribayama because Wakataka Kage pulled out of the tournament. If you did see in the match on day 13, his knee slams into the Tawara, but then he still fights and wins against Kotonowaka, which was really interesting, the fact that he still won that match. But, you know, unfortunately, we don't get to see a match between two of, you know, the top division's favorite wrestlers, Wakataka Kage and Kiribayama. Kiribayama takes the Fusensho victory, which, again, a lot of people might argue that this Fusensho cheapens the Yusho, cheapens the Ozeki push, because of course it's not the only Fusensho that Kiribayama has gotten in this single Ozeki push so far. I'm pretty sure there was one back in January. I was gonna say back in March, and this is March. So, you know, maybe he'll get another one in the next Basho. Will people try to cheapen it then? I'm not too sure, but that does bring us into his final 2 matches, and they are 2 relatively quick matches, which is, you know, it's a little disappointing for the Yusho matches to come off the back of a Fusensho into 2 simple step back slapdowns. But, you know, this kind of harkens back to day 1 going up against Abi, where he takes advantage of Abi's, you know, long arms and gets the push out going forward. Well, here, this is the other side of the coin against an Oshizumo wrestler that is of this style. You pull back, you pull the hand, and you get the slap down. And I'm explaining the match. We haven't even watched the match yet, but this is the first match on day 15 to force the playoff. Kiribayama versus Daieisho.
Daieisho is the one to go down first.
Daieisho gets some good blows up high to the face. Kiribayama trying to deflect every single one of them. And even though Daieisho had a good and fiery start to the match, like you could see just straight off the Tachi-ai, Daieisho really good blows, but Kiribayama manages to kind of sneak to the side here. He's going to try to shuffle to the side, which does kind of, I don't want to use the same word again, but it's an SAT word of the day, assuage. Does assuage the pressure and manages to alleviate, that's the word I wanted to use, alleviate the pressure such that, you know, these full arm blows are not haymakers. I mean, of course, they still are very powerful blows, but, you know, the follow-up to them is not going to be as strong because, look, Daieisho, this right arm can't extend, and even though Kiribayama does recenter himself back in the middle of the ring, instead of actually going to the side, the job there is already done where Daieisho now, if he wants to make space, he would either have to push even harder at the face, which takes away some of that momentum, or he would have to jump back like Abi does and then go high as well. So what does Daieisho do here? Well, he continues to push high, and it's actually Kiribayama that gives up a little bit of ground. But now Kiribayama tries to dive for the belt. Kiribayama isn't able to keep a grip on the belt, nor is he able to keep a grip on the arm as well, as Daieisho does get deflected this way. You can see those shoulders are now turned this way. The hips are turning away from Kiribayama. So now Kiribayama has to try to catch him. Daieisho uses that momentum to swing back with a big thrust up high to the face. And again, Kiribayama is going to use this to deflect the blows and try to just take it all in stride, basically. He's losing a lot of ground. He's losing a lot of pressure here, but this isn't death just yet. He's going to step back, and at the very edge, you're going to see classic defense at the edge stance. Low legs curving upwards, keeping the stance, and he's going to use this inside right, and I'm not sure what's happening on the left side, to once again deflect Daieisho to the side, because Daieisho, I mean, look at this stance. Daieisho's stance is not bad either. He's driving forward like Abi does on this tippy toe, but this left foot a little too wide, and that's what's going to send him flying. Because this foot isn't pointing forward, because his hips and shoulders aren't all pointing forward, they're kind of pointing off to the side. That's going to allow him to get deflected off to the side by this big right paw of Kiribayama. And because of that, he's going to fall straight on his belly out of the ring.
Kiribayama deflects him.
Toreador, like a matador. He gets that raging bull right out of the ring. He flings himself right out.
We're going to the playoffs.
And we love playoffs, baby. We got extra sumo in this breakdown video.
Better charge here.
And already getting into the playoff here. I mean, we just saw these guys go at it. Again, we know what happens. But do you really think the same thing is going to happen? And that's what me and Congo were discussing. Do you think Daieisho is going to go for the same strategy? Do you think Kiribayama is going to go for the same strategy? Do you think Daieisho is going to pull an Abi and try to Henka? What do you think is going to happen here? And I was arguing Daieisho should go for the same strategy because, not because, you know, meme answer, air quotes, it's his brand of sumo. But that kind of is what it boils down to. That's the sumo that he is most comfortable with. That's the sumo that almost got him the win in the first match. You know, just make a few adjustments and you get that strong, solid win. You get the Yusho. So I was arguing Daisho probably goes for the same strategy here. And that's exactly what happens. Daisho goes for the same strategy. Kiribayama, knowing how to deflect it now that he's seen it only like 10 minutes prior.
Daisho down first.
Daisho getting those hands up high to the face. And instead of allowing more follow-up blows, Kiribayama gets the grip around the arm, drags him down, gets the Yusho. So the main difference here was the fact that Daisho was not allowed to go for follow-up blows. Daisho was grabbed at the Tachi and was pulled and dragged down to the ground. And we could see it again, straight off the Tachi. Daisho has his usual good stance. Right hands inside. He's going to use that to push up and away from Kiribayama. But what happens here? If it'll allow it, Kiribayama doesn't get moved back that hard. And he actually uses this left hand up to the chest. Right hand is going to go for this arm here. And he's going to get the grip right here. That first blow was to deflect the attack. This second one, Daisho, I think he's the one that makes the mistake here because he goes for the chest and the belly and goes low, which allows Kiribayama to go for this slap down right off the Tachi. And this is perfect position for the slap down too. He's pulling back. His hips are far and away. He's ready to retreat. Big paw right to the back of Daisho. Daisho, his footing is not underneath him too. It's just everything lining up in favor for this slap down. And it's as simple as pulling back, getting the slap down, Hataki Komi off the Tachi, and that is the way the things win here. And I need to let my dog in just a few minutes after this video. And of course there was a Mono E here, which you know, again, we know what happens here, but watch this left foot. It's really funny.
It's later. He's good.
Daisho hits the ground, and then Kiribayama steps on his hand as if it needed to be any more clear who touched first. But yes, that is going to be it for this Kiribayama breakdown video. I hope you enjoyed it. My dog is begging me to come back inside, even though he's going to beg to go outside in 20 minutes, which is something you might hear because I'm going to record the Daisho breakdown a little bit later today. And well, yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it this far, you might already know that I cannot stream the Haru Basho here on the YouTube channel come May because of the strikes that NHK delivered because of my live streaming. So I will be back for the Nagoya Basho, and I will probably put out an update video exactly outlining the plan of what will happen for the Nagoya Basho and what will be happening for the May Basho as well. So if you want to catch the sumo live, be sure to visit my Twitch link, twitch.tv/LeoDSumo. You can find that in the description down below, or please find an alternative source such as David or D, or I don't know any of his other names that he goes by here on YouTube. There's also a couple of Japanese YouTube channels that stream the sumo for the top division. Or also on Twitch, you have people like Carla Sumoist or Midnight Sumo. Midnight Sumo seems to be the preferred one to go to on Twitch, as well as other websites like Rumble and Kick. And I don't know, Facebook maybe? There might be someone over on Facebook, but as long as you can catch the sumo, if you have links to other people's channels, be sure to let them down in the comments below, because, you know, at the end of the day, we do want people to just continue watching sumo. So thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this breakdown video as much as I enjoy making them. And well, we'll see you later in the week where we have a lot more videos that are going to be posted. Uda, Keen Bozan, Hokuseiho, Bushozan, and Ochiai, and maybe surprise Super Shodai if I actually get around to getting his clips. So thank you very much for watching. I will catch you cats later.